What's up, everybody? This is Kieran and Reese, the Wisdom is the Obsessed Compulsive Gamer, the O.C.G, and I'm here playing Lords of the Fallen! Hey, I think you like this game too. I'm using this as an opportunity to catch you up on some of the games that you missed. Sorry, give me a second. Keep getting hair and shit stuck in my fucking headset. It's annoying as shit. Scratches against my ear. Yeah, it's a great game. I think. And it's a game that they have patched the ever-loving fucking shit out of. Like, okay, this game kind of got ripped a new asshole when it first came out because it had a lot of issues. It wasn't unplayable or anything, but it definitely was far from perfect. But I think people kind of didn't give it a fair chance because, one, this is the first game this studio ever made. And two, this was one of the very first Unreal Engine 5 games that was not made by Epic. In fact, when they were working on this game and working on Unreal Engine 5, because they worked on this game for several years, Unreal Engine 5 was never even available to the public, so they were kind of learning how to use Unreal 5 alongside the devs. There was no instruction manual, and what they were trying to do, the whole two worlds that are constantly loading, was a fucking nightmare engine-wise. Because they can't just have, like, it shifts, like, there's basically two areas being loaded in and out at the same time. So, and they patched the shit out of this game. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a developer patch a game this much. Like, seriously, in a year, I think they have patched this game over 50 times. And they were, like, super great about it, too. Just about, like, every complaint the community had, they fixed. I love you, but you gotta get up right now. You can come up here in a little bit. Like, they have been so gracious, and they could have been dicks about it, because the community kind of ripped them a new asshole and be like, well, fuck you. They weren't. And I actually liked this game at launch, because I realized they were figuring it out, and, it was a first time. This is literally the first game the studio had ever done. But they have made the game exponentially better now than it was at launch. And they've been super generous too. This game is already a pretty big game. Surprisingly big, actually. And they have added a bunch of free content, free weapons, and free new quest lines. And like a boss rush mode. Like tons and tons of things they didn't have to add. I love the opening text of this game too. Ages pass, distorting self-delusion into faith, with few obtaining the revelations they so desperately seek. In a conflict between the divine, Are mortals mere pawns? Whether the flesh of gods or death itself, all will be consumed. For she must feed. Like, that actually kind of unnerved me. And it makes sense later on. It's not just gibberish. Like, they made so many tweaks to this game, it's fucking ridiculous. And they said they were gonna. They said they were done with updates, and now they're updating again. They just dropped another major update yesterday.
Let's do this weapon of deliverance.
That's basically why I reinstalled it, because they dropped a huge update, and they're like, oh no, we're not done updating it. You know, the support. So they're going to keep improving it even further, and they're already working on a sequel that should come out in 2026, I believe, called Death of the Lords or Death of the Fallen, something like that, something cool. So, they've already taken into account a ton of the feedback, they've listened to complaints, they're already hard at work on a sequel. It actually does. It is actually a sequel. You don't have to play the first game, but this is not a reboot. Yeah, Hakan, or Harkin. Contrary to what people think, this is not a reboot. This is a sequel. It actually has the protagonist from the first game in this game as a major character, and directly takes place after one of the endings from the first game. But you don't have to. They catch you up on what you missed. But I've seen most people think it's a reboot, and that's not true. Yeah. You have to understand at that time Souls-likes were brand new. I would honestly say that Lords of the Fallen was probably the first Souls-like. I'm gonna try doing a different build than I normally do. Normally I go for Holy Paladin. And this game has a lot of really fucking cool ideas in it that are not in other Souls-likes. And it actually pissed me off because the reviewers for this game fucking misled people. Because the review said, oh, this game has nothing new to add to the genre, it's just the same old shit. Yeah, Lords of the Fallen. This game has nothing new to add to the genre. Okay, so having a spectral world that you seamlessly switch in between and out of, if that affects the whole game, has been done in a Souls-like before. Having a totally overhauled melee and ranged weapon system, it's been done before. Being able to play the entire game co-op, not invite players in, like, in an instance, like, invite your friends and play the game start to finish with 3 friends. It's been done in a lot of Souls-likes. Like, no, like, you can say you don't like the game, but to say that this adds nothing to the genre is just factually inaccurate. Unless you can point out another fucking Souls-like. Yeah. And the only other game I can think of that does the spectral material realm shit is Soul Reaver. Which I love Soul Reaver. I love Legacy of Kain, but that's a rant for another day. I'm really fucking stoked for the Legacy of Kain remaster. The Soul Reaver remasters, I fucking squealed like a little bitch.
The latest receiver of his grace. Great potential dwells within you, doubtless, for you to be chosen thusly. And so does Aureus' wisdom guide my hand in the bestowment of this subsequent boon.
And there are things in this game that should be the standard for Souls-likes that even fucking FromSoft should take heed of.
Your flesh has been made sacrosanct with the mark of the Dark Crusaders.
Which I'll point out.
Prove yourself worthy of this gift. Seek me in the bowels of the bridge. Our work is of the greatest import.
Fuck. For example, I just mentioned they dropped a new update. They improved the lighting in the starting area. I already thought the lighting looked good, but they took the lighting up a notch. It was one of those instances where it's like I didn't have a problem with it, but I'm glad you guys improved it. Like they made the lighting stronger and the contrast and the colors and shit. But anyway, okay. So there's several things in this game that should become the standard in Souls-likes going forward. Okay. I almost never used ranged weapons in Souls games. Just like none of them. Because I think the ranged weapons fucking suck. They're clunky, they're counterintuitive to use. This game actually has good ranged weapons. You can actually pull the left trigger and aim your bow like a regular fucking game. You know, like any game in the last 20 years. And even each bow has different ammo types that you can swap between. So you can equip 5 different types of arrows and switch it, and there's no getting specific ammo. Your character has an ammo meter that you refill with generic items. So you're not sitting there, oh, where do I find this one specific arrow? So you can play this game entirely ranged if you wanted to. They're ranged builds. And like I said, I fucking hate ranged in the FromSoft games. I like it here. That should be the standard. Magic. I almost never use magic in any Souls game because I think the magic is clunky as fuck. You have to, if you're having a melee weapon, which you're going to have to have a melee weapon, you're going to have to constantly switch your scepter out for your axe or your whatever melee weapon you're using. You have to swap down the D-pad for each spell, which is incredibly clunky in the middle of a battle, and it just doesn't feel any good. In Lords of the Fallen, your magic is on a hotbar. Okay? So, you literally assign it to buttons and hold the left trigger so you can cast magic in the middle of the battle, and the magic is really good. You can literally just be like a death-dealing paladin, cast lightning from the sky, heal yourself, buff your weapon in the middle of a combo. Like, I actually use magic for like the first time in any of these games in this. That system should be the fucking standard for every subsequent FromSoft game. And, you know, in pretty much all FromSoft games, you can hit triangle to put it one hand or two hands, but Lords of the Fallen lets you swap in mid-combo. So there's actually unique combos of swapping from one hand to two hand, or if you dual wield, you can swap from one weapon to two in the middle of a combo. That's fucking sick. And they added this new type of attack that I hope that we get to see in other FromSoft games. They're called flurry attacks. This wasn't in Lords of the Fallen to begin with. They added in a patch. You hit L1 and R2 and you do a flurry. Each weapon has a unique flurry weapon type attack. So, like, that's what I'm saying. They added that. So, and you can dye the color of your armor at any time. You get them. They're called I forget, tinks, and you can dye your color armor and dye each color individual pieces from the menu at any time. I can't tell you how many times I saw a cool piece of armor in a Souls game, like, man, I wish it was this color, or, man, I dig the stats in this armor, but I think it sucks. being able to seamlessly swap out the color for your armor is a really fucking cool part of customization that I really wish they had in other FromSoft games. And one of my favorite improvements, you can just click the left stick to sprint. I know that's standard in other games, but in FromSoft games, you usually have to hold circle, and constantly having to hold circle sucks. It hurts my hand, and people called it the Dark Souls claw, because they'll do their thumb like this, and I do it so they can look while they're holding the circle button. It sucks. Just let me click the fucking left stick to sprint, which they do. So, like I said, for people to say that this is just the same old Souls-like, it doesn't add anything new to the genre, is just plainly untrue. It adds a lot of cool shit that you normally don't see in the genre. Yeah. Well, I hate it. I fucking hate it. Especially it's not needed, okay? Let me just click the left stick sprint. That has been the standard for ages. Especially in a game like this, where you want to keep your hand on the camera to be panning for threats and shit. Yeah, see, Tinks? Boom! Swap the color of my armor. Super fucking cool. Like, that simple, that easy. Can be done at any time. So you can really customize the look and feel of your armor. Give each piece a different color. I love shit like that. And they have the fucking, they do both Dark Souls and Bloodborne, because in Dark Souls, you roll. In Dark Souls, you roll. In Bloodborne, you do the dash. I love in this game, you do both. When you're locked on, if you hit circle, you'll dash back, and if you double tap, you roll. I really like that because it accommodates both playstyles. And yeah, I really love the world and the lore of this game. And I really dig how they managed to, I really love how they managed to, have flashbacks in this game through, like, they're called echoes in the Umbral Realm. Okay? So they actually managed to have a lot of cutscenes while keeping them optional, and you can hear a lot of flashbacks on the lore and shit. I really dig that. Yeah, exactly. And they actually upgraded Umbral to make it better. Originally, they had a distortion effect on the screen. It was super unnecessary, and I hated it. They turned it off. I mean, it's still there, but they made it like it was on the edge of the screen. They minimized it. They increased the amount of time you can stay in Umbral. Because originally, you know, you're on a timer in Umbral. The longer you stay there, the worse the enemies get. It still works that way, but you have more time. Because you didn't really have time. You didn't have a whole lot of time to explore, so now you're still on a timer, but it's more generous, which I like a lot more. They added, they improved the soundscape. So, like, the music and stuff changes the longer you're in Umbral, which turns up the tension. They give you a better tutorial about Umbral, like some of the, like, the general shifting they explain to you. They don't explain to you, like, the soul flay and shift like that they did. So, like, and that's just stuff they added recently. Like, they have been non-fucking stop improving this game. And they're, like, not only are they working on a sequel that's going to come out in the next 2 years, but they just confirmed. Oh, like they originally said the last update was going to be last. They added a boss rush mode for people that wanted it, a boss replay mode. You know, just quality of life features. And then they were like, no, we decided we're actually going to keep supporting the game. Yeah. And they just had a new update. So, like, I thought that they had finally finished updating this game. Like, no, we're going to keep updating it. So, like, I keep coming back to this game. I must have put 100 hours in this game, because every time I think, oh, I'm done, they add a new feature, some new content, a new quest line. Like, it's great. And, I really appreciate that they worked tirelessly to improve the game. They admitted that they made mistakes and it launched rough, instead of trying to blame the community. They could have gotten mad at the community because the community tore them a new asshole. They didn't. They listen to fan feedback. They reach out to people regularly. Like, they are some of the best, like, most friendly community developers. They're constantly updated on Twitter. So, like, they worked really hard. And see, they added this. Previously, some of these eggs would be active, and you couldn't tell which ones are active. Now the eggs that are alive have a blue glow to them, so you can tell which ones to avoid. That was something they added in the new update. Just, like, cool quality of life features like that, I really appreciate. They added a modifier system, so you can put all kinds of restrictions on yourself if you want to. Like, limit the amount of saves you can do and stuff like that. It's optional, but it's there for people who want it. Just, like, cool shit like that they kept adding. Not only that, but... yes, they do. The ones in the underworld, anyway. In the real world, the bodies stay. In the underworld, they fade away. It's part of the lore, actually. Yeah, well, like I said, you get that in the, you get that in the mortal world. It's just in the spectral world, their soul disappears because it's being recycled. You can't permanently kill them. Also, and something I really dig, this game, first of all, has an excellent photo mode. I mean, it's a really good photo mode with a lot of fucking options. I really appreciate. But it has something called 3D photos, where if you're taking a photo, you can take a traditional picture, but you can also do a 3D photo, and at the starting menu, you can load up the entire area in 3D and look back through it. And it will load up exactly what you saved. So it's like you're making your own little dioramas to look at later. That's fucking cool. And another thing I really like, this game, yeah, exactly. This game, one of the things I love about this game, but it actually kind of hurt the game in some people's minds, is this game does not front load. This game holds its best shit in the back half. A lot of games want to attract the players and get their best foot forward, so they'll put the best level at the beginning, and I understand why they would do that, but then it creates the thing where it's all downhill, like you'll play the first level and it's the best. This game does not do that. This game doesn't showcase its best shit until the second half of the game. Yes, exactly. As you play through this game, it gets better and better and better and better. And many of the people who tried this game, played it for like an hour or 2 hours, thought, oh, I wish it was better, and then gave up and didn't get to the really cool shit. Like, the areas get progressively cooler, and they get much bigger. For example, the final area in this game, the final main area, is the size of like 5 areas put together. So you're like, oh, I'm almost beating the game, I'm at the end, and then you're like, holy shit, this castle is super fucking large. And like, it keeps doing that. and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So a lot of people who judge this game didn't get far enough to see the really good shit. But I love the fact that the game gets better as you go instead of playing its best hand at the start. I also love the parry system in this game. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. For me, it just got better and better and better. Like, you just have to be patient with it. But I'm fine with that. It's not like the game is bad from the start. It just gets better. You're not going to get to the holy shit stuff till later. And this game has so many awesome secrets. There were so many times when I played this game, like I said, I put over 100 hours in this game. I played this game a lot, and I was still finding new secrets and shit. I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I missed that. Like, it is so fucking dense. This game handles exploration so well. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about this game and Lies of P, which I cannot recommend Lies of P enough. God, I love Lies of P. And it's got a DLC coming out later this year. Probably in the next month or two. I will jump on that shit fucking day one. Yeah. A lot of people who seek to copy FromSoft will just copy the mechanics. And they won't understand that a large reason why people love FromSoft games isn't just the gameplay. Like that, of course, that's a part of it. It's the world and the atmosphere. FromSoft are fucking kings of atmosphere and level design. You know, people love Bloodborne, like they love the gameplay, they love how aggressive the combat is, but Bloodborne wouldn't be a fraction as loved as it is if they didn't have the amazing world and atmosphere that Bloodborne had. And so many of them, they'll try to copy the mechanics, but skip on the atmosphere. Lies of P in this game really get the kind of dark but beautiful aesthetic. Like Lies of P in this game, I have such a moody world. I fucking love it. Especially Lies of P. See this guy right here? This is called the Iron Wayfarer. This is the protagonist from Lords of the Fallen 1.
I always wondered if there were others. You're probably thinking that lamp's just a tool to be used as you see fit. Take it lightly, and you'll find it's the other way around. Mark my words.
But this has been like 1,000 years later. He's much older and he's got like some supernatural shit going on.
I don't know who you are, and I don't care. But since it seems a deer has you marked, making you a bigger threat to the Rogar serves us both. I've defied the wills of gods and kings. If you know any kind of freedom, you'll do the same. I've defied...
Okay, just making sure I got all his dialogue. And this game has some really great characters. Obviously, some of them are better than others, but 2 or 3 of the characters in this game, yes, that's Harkin. He's become spectral, and it's been like 1,000 years. Yeah, that's Harkin. Like, he's got a much bigger beard, he's skeletal. They explain what the fuck happened to him. This is like 1,000 years later. See, I love, you can find all these flashbacks.
To the cliffs! Fall back! Fall back!
No! Wait! Where are you going? Help us!
And they use that to show all these optional scenes. I love that. It's a really clever way to include more story and make it optional because you can skip them all. And it's cool. You're like looking at a scene frozen in time. It fits the lore of the game. You know, like I said, I really enjoy this game, and it really pains me how much people shit on this game. And how much they didn't give the developers a fucking chance. Sometimes, I will like a game, but I will fucking hate the community. Oh wait, can I use that? Yes, I can. Actually, hold on, let me try check the stats between this. That's 96. Yes. Like Silent Hill, I love Silent Hill. I fucking hate the community of Silent Hill. They suck so much ass. Even disrespecting the fucking creators of the game, like trying to talk down to them. It's something I've never fucking seen before. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with red pill in general. I do believe male and females should be self-sufficient, but most of the time they take it and they're dicks. So, but or like Dying Light. The Dying Light community sucks so much ass. Dying Light 2 is one of my favorite games, and the community just shit on the developers, despite them fucking working with the community, adding tons and tons and tons of free content, adding constant updates. They just constantly shit on the devs. Just because it's not Dying Light 1, because it's different. Yeah, I love Dying Light 2, it's just not the same. Like, it wasn't just more. It wasn't like, oh, it's more of the same. It's very different. And they told people that from the beginning. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I've said this before. I'll say it again, and I'll probably say it 1,000 more times. I'm politically, ideologically, I'm a centrist. I think that one of the things that's killing America is how extreme both sides have gotten. That you're either the leftist left whoever left, or you're the rightist right whoever right, and you get crazy people on either side. So balance is in the middle. Like I can't stand the further ends of either side. And I think that, you know, Democrats and Republicans both suck equally. Like, they're both saying, oh no, it's the other guy that's the part of all your problems. We're gonna fix it, and then nothing changes. And I just don't like it, honestly. Everybody is, you know, and they need each other. And because a lot of the time, fucking Democrats are fucking hypocrites. They get on to people for not paying their taxes. And I agree. Everybody should pay their taxes or nobody should. But then, how many Democrats, like big high-up politicians, do you know that pay their taxes? Hillary Clinton doesn't pay her taxes. Nancy Pelosi doesn't pay her taxes. Biden didn't pay his taxes. So they're sitting there calling people out for it while they're fucking doing it. And like, I believe it. I believe everybody should pay their fair share. But they're not either. So how do you call somebody out on some shit when you're fucking doing it? Like, it would mean a lot more to me if the people saying that they should pay their taxes would pay their taxes, well, and be an example. They don't. You know, I don't even like Trump. Anybody who knows me can tell you I'm like the furthest thing from a Trumper. I think he's embarrassing. He doesn't care about America. He tries to treat America like we're a business. And we're a country. You can't run a country like a business. But he was right, because Hillary Clinton called him out on his taxes, and he's like, you don't pay taxes either. And he had her dead to rights in that moment. She fucking doesn't. He said none of you on Capitol Hill do. And, I mean, fuck, he was right. In that one instance, I have to agree with him. You know, it's the same like, you remember when Democrats were sitting there saying, well, Elon Musk could cure hunger if he just gave $4 billion or $6 billion? And then, we give billions of dollars each month to the most frivolous fucking shit? And I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely think that Elon Musk should pay taxes. He makes his living off of American community. He gets all these benefits he should pay back. But we shouldn't be looking to a billionaire to do what our fucking government should do. Like, we're literally going to sit there and sweat Elon Musk for $4 billion when our government spends more than that every fucking month on dumb as shit stuff. We spend trillions of dollars a year. So, by that metric, our government is telling us, well, we could help the poor, we could end homelessness, but we just don't want to. But we'll give $30 billion to Ukraine. And, like, I know they have to, but, like, we just spend money on the dumbest shit. And that's what I'm saying. And then they act like, well, no, Republicans fucked you over. We're the answer to your problems. No, Democrats fucked you over. We're the answer to your problems. And yet, no matter who's in power, in my life, in your life, we've seen Democrats run the House, have the Senate. We've seen Republicans. Nothing ever fucking changes. They're part of the same problem. Like, yeah. That's ultimately the problem. They are part of the same system, Democrats and Republicans. Okay, to me, it's like you're choosing which end of the snake to grab, but you're still grabbing a fucking snake. Yeah, sorry. Well, you have to understand, okay, it's not just about that. We kind of have to support them to a certain degree, okay? Because Russia is our enemy, and every move they make is against us, and they are our enemy. And it's not just about Ukraine, Orbital, it's about what Ukraine means. They intend to use Ukraine as a staging ground to take over more of Europe. And the problem with that is that Ukraine is the edge that keeps Russia from NATO. Okay, so if they take over Ukraine and then they use that to attack another country, they will be attacking a NATO country, and we will have to start war with Russia. We will have to. So we are trying to help Ukraine now to avoid open warfare with Russia in the future. Because, like, that's literally the agreement of NATO. And, that is true. We should be helping our own people. I agree with that. I can't argue that. And Putin has already said that after he's conquered Ukraine, he's going to go after Germany next. And so he's not going to stop. He's just going to keep taking over Europe because he drained the country dry. Did you know that off the books, it's considered that Putin is the world's richest man? He's assumed to be the world's only trillionaire because he's literally drained Russia dry. But the problem is he got too greedy. He drained the entire country dry, and now he's taking over Ukraine, or trying to take over Ukraine, like he took over Crimea 10, 15 years ago to replenish the coffers because there's nothing left. He's desperate. Okay, so literally, he's almost like a modern pirate. He's just going to keep taking countries and pillaging them and taking their shit and growing because he's taking all the resources from Russia. There's nothing left. So if he doesn't give them money, doesn't give them supplies, they're gonna kill him. You can only keep people, you know? Yeah, I agree with that. People who are not from here should not get more help than us. They should be given equal footing with us, and that's it. Okay? Everybody should be given an equal shot here.
You carry the lamp long enough, and you'll see history repeat. Over and over. If you don't want to keep retreading the same ground yourself should you fall, make use of this. I've given you more umbral guidance than I ever had. From now on, find your own way, and stay out of mine.
And on top of which, they come over here, and they want to change our culture to match theirs, and it should not fucking work that way. Okay, you come over to somebody else's country, you have to, deal with what they want. With how they run things. Like, I'm not gonna go to Japan and get upset because they asked me to take my shoes off. Like, that's their culture. Like, you don't go over to somebody else and say, well, you need to compromise what you're doing. Like, you should feel lucky to be here. Like, that should just be fucking common sense. You don't go over to somebody else's house. You know, and it's different if they want to do their thing in their own house. Okay? They're expecting us to change in public. Okay? Because in the comfort of your own home, do whatever the fuck you want to, but they like, in Canada and France, they're actually saying that they want to stop advertising Christian churches because it might offend the Muslims that have come to the country. So you're telling me that Christian churches shouldn't be able to have banners, shouldn't be able to advertise themselves to other Christians because Muslims that came here might be offended? So we're gonna say, well, we know you've been here and you're part of the community, but fuck you. That's not how America works. You have the right to go to your church and make your shit. Don't try to fucking censor somebody else. And that's what they're doing, like. And then, like, when they do bad stuff, they just get excused. It's wild. Like, they've had a huge wave of crime in France and England lately. Really bad. And, yeah, it is. I agree. They're called Ravagers. They are cool. They've had a huge wave of Muslims in France, and they've been burning down churches, and they've been giving them a slap on the wrist for it. Okay, they're committing fucking arson. What are you doing? Like they literally, like, they were getting probation for burning down fucking churches. You can't do that. You can't come to somebody else's fucking country and burn their shit down and get a slap on the wrist. Like, what? Like, and they're raping people. They're fucking raping people and getting a slap on the wrist. This one dude raped and murdered a 12-year-old girl. So just about the most heinous thing you can possibly fucking do in England? Yeah, England. He got 100 days probation. Like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. And there's, like, lots of that happening. So they're literally saying that, yeah, exactly. For killing a 12-year-old girl, we would have given him the fucking electric chair, as he should. You kill a little girl, you rape a little girl, and he did this in public, okay? He got caught on a security camera doing this. It's not like, well, maybe he did it. He did it. You see what I'm saying? Like, he was caught in 4K. Literally. Because in England, they have some of the best cameras in the world. And they're everywhere. CCTV, like... So, it wasn't where he was accused. He caught the whole thing on camera. You cannot get more definitively fucking guilty. And they're literally saying that these fucking people can come here, they can burn down your churches, they can rape and kill your daughters, and we're gonna give them a slap on the wrist. But the people who spoke out against it, one of the people, Orbital, who spoke out against this, it was this woman. She got 6 months in jail for disturbing the peace. So you gave a woman talking online about how she was so displeased with the treatment that she's been getting and how they're treating the immigrants, who got a harsher prison sentence than a guy who raped and murdered a fucking 12-year-old girl on camera. And then people are wondering why there's mass upvolt in England right now, because the English people are tired of this fucking shit. As they should be. That's fucking crazy. Fucking raping and murdering a girl, burning down a church is not a big deal. But saying something that the fucking prime minister doesn't like on social media, throw him away. Lock him up and throw away the key. And I also really like this chick I'm about to fight. Her name is Pietà. She's incredibly well voice acted, and her character is incredibly complex. She's a highlight of this game for me. Because you think you fight her, and you think she's a bad guy, but she's actually on your side. It's funny.
Grant me the strength to continue to endure these dark days.
And I like her voice actor.
To lay bare the path to salvation for my wayward brothers and sisters, so we may walk it together, and to strike down all those who would see our will defied.
And she's just a really cool boss battle.
As our suffering continued, I honored my pledge of patience to the exactor.
She's the first real boss battle.
And yet you now appear before me.
And they really started strong, because she's fucking dope.
What was not yours to receive. A betrayal made flesh, and one I cannot brook.
I got really good at parrying her too. Yeah. Well, trust me, it gets a lot cooler. The boss fight escalates. Just wait. This is when she goes into her final form. Well, almost. Yeah, here we go. She gets fucking wings. And the music gets really orchestral. And you're like, oh shit! Like, the first time I saw this, I was like, no way. And she starts summoning, like, fucking clones. And they did a good job of, like, oh my god, like, man, this really got out of hand. Yeah. Yeah, they actually can't, because Warner Brother being bitches patented that system. But the actually good news is, they're actually working on a Wonder Woman game. The team that did Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor are doing a new Wonder Woman game that's going to be based off the comics, not a movie, and it's going to use the Nemesis system and have similar gameplay to Shadow of War. That, to me, is fucking awesome. And it's going to be set in the world of Greek mythology, not modern times. So, a Wonder Woman game with Shadow of War gameplay set in the world of Greek mythology with the Nemesis system. That's, honestly, that gets me super excited. That sounds cool as fuck. And Wonder Woman has never really gotten a good game, even though I really like Wonder Woman. Like, she's arguably the most famous female superhero that ever lived, and yet she's yet to get a good game. See, and then you think you killed her, and it turns out, yeah, I've seen Unrestricted, yeah. Unrecorded, I think is what it's called. The body cam footage game, is that what you're talking about? But you think you kill her, and it turns out you actually saved her. she was like gripped by this madness, and by killing her, she could regenerate and help her. So you actually fixed her. Oh no, yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Yes, I've seen that. It looks really cool. Yeah. I love the way her wings look, and then she just goes to the back and falls off the ledge. And she winds up becoming basically like your Fire Link Maiden, the person who helps upgrade your healing, because it's her blood in the cross that you use. And she has like a whole huge backstory that you learn throughout the game. She has a really sad backstory. Like, she's a really great character. And it really caught me off guard how it's like, oh no, you killing me actually saved me. And now I'm going to be your buddy. It's just not something you expect.
Brothers and sisters, you honor us and all who came before you with your sacrifices. While I wish they were unnecessary, my wishes will not ease your suffering, but I pray my sorcery does.
Yeah, pro tip, you can get a healing spell up here. Yeah. I also love the hub in this game. I really like the design, the look, the feel of the hub. I love the art style of this game in general. It manages to... Yeah, in this game, you fight all of them. This game has a good amount of different enemy types. You fight human-like creatures, actual humans, monsters, demons, underworld creatures. Like, this game has a good mixture of both. You fight human-like bosses, and you fight monsters, so... This game doesn't, you know, it does good. It doesn't lean too heavily into one or the other. But yeah, I really enjoy this hub. And a lot of people come here throughout the course of the game, like a lot.
I had no doubt in my assessment of you as one worthy of the monumental task which lies before us, Crusader. My name is Dunmire, and I am an exactor of the Dark Crusaders, the holy order of which you are now an honored member. The Church of Orien Radiance has assigned to me the duty of purging Mornstead of its Rogar blight, and ensuring the ancient tyrant Adir knows no liberation from his enduring imprisonment.
That's kind of the point, because this is like the faction from the first game.
While the schism between the Church and Judge Cleric is of long standing, she and her hallowed sentinels, now perverted, did at least construct Mornstead's radiant beacons, which have prevented Adir's return for centuries. But now, you stand corrupted and on the verge of collapse. It is to these 5 beacons you must turn your eye. Use the Umbral Lamp to cleanse them of Adir's destructive influence, and deliver salvation to a world on the brink of perdition. Rogar and Hallowed Sentinel alike will offer you no quarter, so remember, though Aureus' mercy is without limit, yours should not be. You serve a higher purpose, Crusader. To strive in darkness, in light we walk.
And then people complained that there was too much clutter to their inventory, so they added a coffer you can access, and a patch, and then they added this mirror. You can get an item and then use it to respec your character's appearance, which I think is really cool.
By Aureus' divine will, I live again. It's a miracle. And to think I raised my sword to you, when all along you were a divine instrument sent by him to deliver my death and rebirth and bring clarity.
Yeah.
Forgive me, Lampbearer. I'm Pietà of the Hallowed Sentinels. And as Aureus sustains me, so too will I sustain you. Whether by making...
I'm trying to make a different kind of build in this game.
Through my healing blood, contained within the sanguinarics you carry. Should you find any saint...
Normally I go paladin in this game. I'm trying agility this time.
And they can bolster the power of my blood further still.
Yeah.
The beacons must be cleansed. The hallowed sentinels restored.
That's just the type of game it was.
Malignancy eradicated. Through whatever is to come, fellow chosen of Aureus, we stand together in service of him. Our holy work continues, Lambert. Fellow sanctified vessel.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Aureus' divine radiance flow through me and into you.
So the Exactors found himself a new instrument, as Exactors are wont to do. And given that lamp was intended for me should his paladin fall, and yet now here you are, Lamp Bearer. Well, it seems I was right to doubt the value of a dark...
And this game has a really complicated story that has shades of gray, because this game is basically a war between three gods. You have Adir, the bad guy from the first game, that was coming through, the Rogar, who used to be the god, who was overthrown, and he may or may not have been good to begin with. Aureus, which is the god of the church, who is holy, but if you don't worship him, fuck you. And then the Umbral god, who wants to eat everything, and is tired of humanity, and like you can choose which god to side with, and neither one is portrayed as totally right or totally good.
I'm Stoneman, captain of the Fidelis, a group of good men and women who've made a stand against the madness which has possessed the rest of the Hallowed Sentinels. We made a vow to restore our order to its former glory, whatever the cost to ourselves. And by Judge Cleric's grace, we'll honor that vow. That heretical umbral lamp and the Dark Crusaders are necessary evils in these dire times.
That's one of the things I like about this game.
Perhaps our aims will align further. Or perhaps not.
No god in this game is the good god. They all have pros and cons. One is good in this way, one is bad in this way. It really is shades of gray. So it's not like, oh, I'm going the evil path. Like, you actually have to think about what you're doing.
Judgment.
Which I like.
Our Immaculate Lady will bring redemption.
You serve a higher purpose, Crusader.
It just really depends. I believe in a higher power. I'm not sure what the specifics are, but I do believe in a higher power. Whether that god is good or not really just depends on your perspective. Ooh, I can do kind of like that dual wield flurry attack. Let me see what the moveset is when it's... Man, I kind of like the dagger moveset a lot more when it's just one dagger, actually. And then it's like shank. That's not bad. Yeah, I think this game is pretty good dual wielding. This game also does a good job of making characters that you love to hate. Yeah, well, this game has got you covered there. There's a lot.
Look at you. A Dark Crusader, a lamp bearer, and a revenant to boot. Aren't you the multifaceted one? Well, we Fidelis aren't as fortunate. We tend to stay dead when we die.
You're obsessed with the bonk!
Julius knows enough of us have done just that. Anyway, like Nathaniel says, you keep looking back, you don't see the blade coming at your front.
And they do a great job with the supporting cast in this game.
To finish it. Best watch your step out there. Mornstead is a land awash in blood, both deserved and undeserved alike. Best watch your step out. Mornstead is a...
Like, they do a really good job fleshing out the whole cast, not just the main character.
That lamp
yeah, it is.
There is heresy, stranger.
Heresy, stranger.
But then,
you have yet...
Seems it's getting hard to tell what is and what ain't nowadays. Ah, strange times. But in the end, there's right and there's wrong. And that never changes. And I hope for both our sakes you know the difference.
You have yet to see my two favorite characters in this game. Byron is in this game. He's Scottish. He's voiced by the guy who voiced Celebrimbor in Shadow of Mordor and Shadow War and what's his name? Fuck. Oh god, he was the head. He was the head in God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. Fuck. Oh, I'd have to think about it, but yeah, he's the actor who voiced Celebrimbor in Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. I like the voice actor a lot, and he's a friendly guy in this game. You need a chalice or whatever, but you don't need a staff. It's like if you do a holy, you need I can't even remember the name. God, I'm fucking having a brain fart. But you do need like a thing to channel the magic, but it's not something you actively equip. I like the new God of War games a lot, actually.
If in doubt, you heed the captain. He's never steered me wrong, much as he might think otherwise.
I actually like the gameplay a lot more. I would actually make the case that the classic God of War games were great stories, great spectacle, but the actual gameplay was left a lot to be desired. Compare God of War to Devil May Cry 3. They both came out the same year. They are both hack and slashes. God of War is in no way, shape, or form on par with Devil May Cry 3 or fucking Ninja Gaiden. And the combat in the new God of War games was actually a lot deeper, with a lot more weapons and moves.
That's it, isn't it? Oh, the Lamp of Immortality. And the genuine article. Not a useless, empty vessel like the one I saw that witless fool bumbling around with. I've learned a little since coming to Mornstead about that lamp and the awful mission to which it's attached. I hope you recognize that frightful burden for what it is. In truth, what's been done to you is downright cruel. Of course, some people are born into roles of tremendous responsibility. My name is Andreas of Ebb, esteemed scion of nobility, but far more than that, descendant of the great ruler Antanas himself, as proven by my family's book of lineage, for one. That's right.
Really,
through my veins flows the blood of the legendary hero who defied Adir and the Rogar and saved the whole world, only to be betrayed and murdered by a common criminal.
See, I disagree with that, like, you know, the classic God of War games, the combat was pretty simplistic, honestly. And I say that as somebody who loved God of War. I have literally platinumed and 100% completed God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3, Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta. So I played the shit out of the classic God of War games. I like them. I beat God of War 1 on the hardest difficulty, and if you've played God of War 1 on God mode, that shit is fucking brutal.
So you'll understand a man of my pedigree cannot simply stand idle, while an unfortunate victim such as yourself remains shackled to such a grim fate. Give me the lamp, and let me shoulder your burden, friend. What say you?
Yeah, but I'm saying...
It saddens me to see you bring such agony down upon your own head.
Okay.
I hope you see sense and reconsider.
Compare God of War, the classic God of War games, to Devil May Cry, both before and after. Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden. And when you compare it to those other hack and slash games in the same genre that even released around the same time, DMC 3 literally came out the same year as God of War 1, months apart. The gameplay in God of War is nowhere near as good as Devil May Cry 3 or Ninja Gaiden. It's not even in the same league, okay? And when you think about God of War, when people talk about God of War, they think about the story, the spectacle, the brutality. I've never heard somebody say, man, this is incredibly complex gameplay. The new God of War games have way more complicated gameplay. You just have to invest more time to get to it. I will agree, God of War 2018 starts off slow. You have to invest a while to get to the good moves, and then you have to invest even longer to get to the Blades of Chaos, which open up and give you all that. But when you get into the nitty-gritty, you have like 20 different moves for the axe and the sword that you swap between. You have Atreus moves, and you have different special ultimate moves that you swap between on each weapons, as well as hand-to-hand fighting. So by the time you get to the end of God of War 2018, the combat is really rich and complicated. And way more complicated than the classic games. It just takes a while to get to that, but it's an RPG, so... Yeah, that is true. That's actually not really the case in God of War Ragnarok. They made the game that you listen to fan feedback, and in God of War Ragnarok, you can swing from chains again and jump up. You can't, You didn't really give God of War 2018 a fair chance, Alex. The story gets a lot better. But, of course, you're entitled to your opinion. Honestly, Kratos kind of was a fucking dick. And I think that by the end of God of War 3, he was just irredeemable.
My offer stands as long as necessary. After all, what man of breeding would turn away from one so clearly in need?
You know, I really like the Kratos in the new games. Kind of. But then, at the same time, there's a lot of platforming shit in the classic God of War games that was fucking cheap. Like the fucking, literally, the Spiral of Hades is fucking infamous in God of War. That sucked so much ass. And getting the Platinum Trophy requires you to get up that spiral without getting hit once. God, that made me want to break my fucking controller.
Careful. If you're headed for Pilgrim's Perch, friend, the hallowed sentinels don't welcome everyone. Not even a faithful pilgrim who's crossed countless miles of land and sea to join them. All I wanted was to serve the divine judge cleric, but they deemed me unworthy and chased me off. What's a poor, rejected disciple to do now, I ask you? I gave away most of what little I owned before I left Perdam, but if you've got some traveling of your own to do, then here, take this. I know it doesn't look like much, but it's been a dependable companion to me.
I really think, Orbital and Alex, that both of you should try God of War Ragnarok, because it is such an improvement over God of War 2018, you might actually be surprised. I like God of War 2018, but I did think it was not perfect. I do think people kind of sucked its dick a little bit too much. I don't think it was a 10 out of 10 game. Ragnarok was such a massive fucking leap above that I do think it met the hype and exceeded it. The game starts you out with the Blades of Chaos and the axe right away. So you immediately hit the ground running with a lot more shit. they listened to the fact that people thought Kratos was too slow, so they have him running and jumping and swinging from chains again, so you're much more athletic. They deal with Ragnarok, so the end of the world, the end of the Norse world, so it has a much higher stakes and a lot more shit going on. They have actual hubs. Then yeah, you know, I like Ragnarok. I like Ragnarok a lot. And by the time you get to the end of Ragnarok, you have 3 weapons.
It's a harsh wind that blows in Mornstead, but a tree that doesn't bend breaks, I suppose.
And man, the fucking spear in Ragnarok kicks so much fucking ass. And, Freya is gotta be one of my favorite video game females. Her acting, her story, her arc that she goes through in the games is fucking incredible. She's one of my favorite characters in God of War, and one of my favorite characters in the entire series. And gaming. Freya is fucking awesome. And her relationship with Kratos is handled in a way that did not go the way I thought it would. And I have a problem with how they portray a lot of females in gaming, because they have this, like, modern gaming has this weird kind of problem where they think if a woman is strong, she can't be attractive, so they try to make all the warrior women as ugly as possible. And it really annoys me. I don't want the women to be sexualized, but like it's like they try to make all of the warrior women as masculine as possible. And with Freya, she's pretty, she looks good, but she's not sexualized. I really like how they portrayed her. Yeah. Yeah, but, like, that is true with Athena. But, like I'm saying, by the end of God of War 3, all of the good parts of Kratos were gone. He was just a fucking dick that wanted to kill everyone and everything, okay? That would literally let fucking Pandora die just to get his way. Like, I just felt like he lost a lot of that likability. Like, Kratos was always kind of a dick, but they made sure in the other games to give him a kind of sense of greatness. But by God of War 3, he is just totally unforgivable. And, like, in particular, the fact that he's willing to let Pandora, an innocent girl, die just so he can hit Zeus, really didn't make me like him. And on top of which, I feel like God of War 3's ending is fucking terrible. Okay? I'm not talking about the final fight, okay? The final fight with Zeus is great. All the boss fights in God of War 3 are great. But the whole game, they have this message of revenge, revenge. We're bringing down the world. We're bringing down the world. I'm gonna destroy it all. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And then at the end of God of War 3, they're like, actually, Kratos, you had hope in you. You had the power of hope in you the whole time. And then Kratos sacrifices himself to give the spirit of hope to humanity. It's like the whole fucking game of God of War 3, they give you one message, they give you one message, they give you one message, and then at the very end, they're like, well, no, actually, guys, revenge isn't that bad, and Kratos is doing the good thing, and it just felt hollow and phony and hastily thrown in there to kind of give the game a more upbeat ending, when I feel like it really undermined the story and the tone that the rest of the game is going for. Like, you spent the whole game telling me that Kratos does not give a shit about fucking anyone. He wants everyone to die, and now he's gonna kill himself to give hope to humanity out of fucking nowhere? I mean, he let Pandora, the only person he did care about, fucking die. And it doesn't... they could have gone for that arc if they had done it right, but it just feels like hastily thrown in there at the last minute and left a sour taste in my mouth right at the ending. They should have either have done the arc more gradually, or they should have just committed to the full revenge consumes all message. I feel like they tried to pussyfoot it, and then they tried to, like, retroactively explain away why the gods were dicks in God of War 2 and 3, but they were good in God of War 1, and it just came across as, like, hollow and stupid. I really don't like the ending of God of War 3. And the whole nightmare sequence at the end comes at the wrong time. Like, I'm gonna start over and pick a different build. I'm gonna go back with my holy build and just skip through the cutscene shit. You have this amazing, high-stakes, climactic battle with Zeus, where you're just, literally it's in first person, see you just beating the fucking shit out of him until the screen is covered with blood. And then it's like, at the height of the game, when the pacing is going at a fucking fever clip and you're fucking there, it's like, hey, let's have you chase around Zeus in a nightmare sequence for 30 minutes and then end the game. And it just felt like they should have done the nightmare sequence before the final battle with Zeus so that it goes out on a high note. And instead it's like, they deflated at the last second. If that makes sense. And yeah, he had a good guy in him, definitely. I definitely understand your point. But like, if he was going to be a good guy and they were going to keep that, he should have saved fucking Pandora. Like, they tried to give him this arc of redemption right after he let an innocent girl die. A girl that really loved Kratos and looked up to him like a father, and he didn't let her die for the greater good. He let her die just so he could punch Zeus one more time. Do freestyle. Freestyle is much better. It's closer to DMC 5. It was something they added just for the Switch version. It's dope. In DMC 3, in the original DMC 3, you can only carry 2 guns and 2 weapons at a time and have to swap them, and you have to only have one style that you swap. In freestyle mode, it's like DMC 5, you can equip all the weapons and all the guns and switch the styles instantly. So much better. And it's not like Kratos let Pandora die because he was trying to save the day. He let her die just so he could punch Zeus in the face one more time over the pettiest stupid shit. And it just feels like trying to give him a redemption arc right after he let an innocent girl die just so he could hit a guy in the face that he'd already hit is a bad time. Like, if he had saved Pandora and be like, no, I'm gonna let Zeus go, they could have managed a redemption arc. But instead it's like, you just had a redemption arc after you killed everybody in the room. And you were a dick. And it didn't feel congruent with what the story had been building up to. And other games, other God of War games did a much better job of what they tried to do. If you've played God of War Ghost of Sparta and Chains of Olympus, they do a much better job at showing the good parts of Kratos' personality. Like in Chains of Olympus, you get to see his interactions with his daughter and see his love for Calliope and see how he's actually willing to save the world for her. as well as how much the gods used him. That reinforces his arc. And Ghost of Sparta, you see that he loves the Spartans that pray to him. He loves the Spartans that pray to him and looks after them and takes care of them. So, and they have that woven through the entire game. Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying, like, Kratos is an adult. He should have known better than that shit, you know? So, in Ghost of Sparta and Chains of Olympus, they did a much better job at showing the good parts of Kratos and making him more likable, and interspersed it throughout the entire game, instead of just, oh no, now he's gonna have a redemption arc, guys, at the last 5 minutes! It just felt like sloppy writing to me, honestly. Hell, even in God of War Ascension. I know people hate on God of War Ascension, but I liked it. It's the only God of War game where I really love the puzzles and platforming. They actually had awesome puzzles, and the God of War, the other games, the puzzles just kind of throwaway. I never really liked the puzzles in any of the God of War games. They actually have really cool puzzles in Ascension, like being able to rewind objects in different states of time, and then use them in midair and have the eye to eliminate shadow shit. They even showed him like hanging out with Orcos and being friendly to Orcos, and how much he misses his family. So like, other God of War games in the same classic series showed they could show a more balanced take, whereas in God of War 3 it feels like they just highlight the shit parts of his personality. Well, see, the whole thing is, they kind of played their hand. God of War 3 took that idea, the idea of the classic God of War games, and pushed it as far as they could possibly go. And then they tried to keep the series going with Ascension, and they found out that, oh shit, we can't possibly match up to God of War 3. How do you match up to killing the entire Greek pantheon? Oh wait, you don't. And then people were really disappointed. So they pretty much had to do something new. Like, God of War 3 took that idea as far as they could, like, humanly take it. And that's like the problem, like, you know, they went as far as they go. They played their whole hand. If they had spaced that shit out, they could have gotten a couple more games, but they didn't. So they kind of had to change. If they had tried to copy God of War 3, they just would have wound up. See, I honestly like Atreus. And I really like his relationship with Kratos. And yeah, I mean, definitely it's kind of similar to The Last of Us in some regards, but they managed to make sure it does its own thing. And you don't see a lot of good father-son relationships in games for some reason. So it was heartwarming to see like a good relationship with a father and a son in a major game. And I really loved how I loved their interpretation of Norse mythology. Obviously, Norse mythology has been done to death, but they managed to have a version of it that was true to the myths, but was unique, and that's not easy to do. And they didn't just make it like the other God of War games, but Norse. They actually made it feel distinct. I really liked their interpretation of Alfheim, the elves. How they're almost insect-like. Thought that was super cool. The realm of the dwarves, Svartalheim. I loved the look of that. And Vanaheim, I digged it. Yeah. That's kind of the point, though. I mean, honestly, imagine you're 12 years old and you find out you're a god. I think we would all go off the deep end, to be honest with you. I think anybody who found out they were God would probably let the power go to your head. I mean, How many times in your life have you seen somebody get the tiniest scrap of power and it immediately goes to their head? Just like minuscule amounts of power, like, oh, now they're the supervisor. And now he's... Now he's a fucking dick. I've totally seen, like, I've seen a ton of people in my life who got, like, the tiniest scrap of power and just became massive chodes. So, imagine finding out you're a fucking god. And that whole thing doesn't really last that long, and then he's back to normal. Like, they check him real quick. It's not like the game rewards his behavior. He gets punished tremendously. Gets his ass beat. So, like, they immediately check him and like, no, you can't act like that. Like, the game doesn't encourage his behavior and say, oh, he's good. No, the game immediately says, okay, you need to stop being a little bitch. I mean, because of it, like, he thought he was untouchable. He literally gets his ass handed to him by a grown man. Yeah, but remember, Kratos is not far from easy to get around with. And they even say in God of War that he didn't spend hardly any time with Atreus. He was so afraid that he would rub off on Atreus that he barely spent any time around them. He spent a lot of time away from home, so hunting. So I can understand why there's some resentment there. And every time he tries to talk about her, he shuts Atreus up. So, you know, and he never shows any emotion so for like a 12-year-old kid, I can see how that, you know, like, but don't get me wrong, Atreus makes mistakes, but I feel like that's kind of the point. He's supposed to learn and grow. And he's a dramatically better character too. Like, just in God of War Ragnarok, he's 1,000 times better. Like, they literally showed he learned his fucking lesson, so he doesn't stay annoying. Yeah. That's fair. But then a lot of people do. If they had people talking in you know, like Norse anachronisms, if people weren't talking anachronistically, it'd be hard to even understand them. Norse culture has a lot of idioms and shit that Western people don't understand. Whatever, man. You're not my dad. His mom is still here. Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. I have a lot of sympathy. I can't imagine Kratos being your dad would be easy. Not to mention the fact that he almost never calls Atreus. And the entire first game he calls him boy. Which is funny, it's meme-worthy, but imagine if your dad wouldn't even say your fucking name. Just called you boy. That'd get under my fucking skin, too. It's funny too.
I always got probably take it lightly. I don't know, but since it's making you a bit, if you know.
Because it seems like 2018 for some reason was like the year of boy. Because you had two huge games, the biggest games of the year, both predominantly have fucking boy in the game. You had fucking Kratos in God of War 2018 saying boy all the time. Yeah. But Ellie also can be pretty fucking pissy and makes a lot of fucking mistakes and is stubborn as well. Like, she's not exempt from that at all. She makes a lot of dumbass fucking decisions. And also literally says whatever. So, like, they're both stubborn, you know, teens, preteens. So, like, Ellie's far from fucking perfect in the first game either. Like when, you know, fucking Joel was trying to get help from Bill, and she's just stirring the fucking pot. He told her... He's like, hey, Bill doesn't take kindly to strangers. He's like, you gotta be careful with Bill. And then she immediately starts fucking riling Bill up. But yeah, if we're talking story-wise, I love God of War and I love God of War Ragnarok. But obviously it doesn't hold a candle to The Last of Us story. I think The Last of Us has one of the greatest fucking stories ever. Not just for games, for movies, for books. Like, the story of The Last of Us is just fucking peak. I actually really, I know a lot of people like the show. I really, really, really did not like The Last of Us show at all. I thought, I thought the casting was fucking terrible. The chick they picked to play Ellie looks nothing like her. Pedro Pascal doesn't look like Joel, doesn't even try to do a Texan accent, when that's like part of Joel's fucking character. Fucking, they make stupid, pointless changes. Yeah. Okay, how I feel about the show is this. At its best, at the show's best, it is like the games, but worse. Okay, because they'll stick to the writing of the games, but it's worse because the actors aren't as good. Okay? In particular, fucking Bella Ramsey. She has all of the emotion of a wet fart. Like, for example, the pivotal scene in the cabin, okay? Where Joel and Ellie break down. Hands down, one of the best scenes in any game, one of the best scenes in The Last of Us. Everyone I have ever loved has either died or left me, except for fucking you. So don't tell me that I would be better off, because the truth is, I would just be scared. I would just be more scared. And you can see her fucking tearing up. You have no idea what loss is. A fucking super iconic. And in the show, they had the same line delivery, which is like, everyone I've ever loved has either died or left me. And she delivers it totally fucking monotone. Okay? So at its best, it's the same source material, but way worse acted. And at its worst, they make tons of stupid choices. Like, Tess. I love Tess. Tess's death hit me like a fucking sledgehammer. Her death was beautiful, okay? Especially because the actress that played Tess died of cancer last year, okay? So when I replayed that, she died right before the remake came out. It really hit hard. In the show, she blows herself up and blows up the Capitol building, and right before that, a clicker French kisses her. What the fuck was that? Like, why did you need to do that? And they said that, and then they were doing the show, they said in the show that they were going to get rid of some of the video game elements. Because, you know, like, when you play a game, you have to keep the players invested. You have to have enemies to fight, so we're not going to have as much fighting in the show. And that made sense. But then they talked about making the show less gamey. What is more gamey to you? Her being killed by soldiers and fighting all 3 soldiers, or her blowing up the fucking building in a massive explosion as Joel and Ellie walk away? That was just, like, so needlessly over the top. And, like, the whole point of her death was that was supposed to be a quiet moment. After she dies, you're just sitting there, walking the Capitol building, and they turn it into a fucking 90s explosion. And then they have the clicker French kisser? What the fuck was that? They still have not explained what the fuck that was about. And then, the cordyceps no longer spreads through the air. It spreads through fungus on the walls. That's not how fungus works. All types of fungus spread through the fucking air. They're spores. Like, so it's spreading through touch. Doesn't even make sense by what the fungus is. And, like, the whole point of The Last of Us, and one of the reasons why it was so scary, was because it's based off of something that happens in real life. Cordyceps fungus is something that exists in real life. It works exactly like it works in the show. Ants get taken over, they mindlessly kill shit, and the fungus grows on them, grows on their head, except they're like, well, what if it happened to humans instead of ants? So, it was so believable because it was possible. It was based off of a real thing. It's spreading through vines on the wall. Doesn't make any sense to a fungus. It's not how fucking fungus works. So it's like, why would you even change that? And then, like, weird stuff. They set the past sequence back 10 years. So, in The Last of Us games, it starts in 2013, which was the year when the game came out. Then it jumps ahead 10 years to 2023. And then, in the show, for some reason, the past segment actually is 2003, and then it jumps ahead to 2023, so current year. So that totally changes it. They don't have smartphones, they have fucking flip phones and shit. Like, why would you change that? It just doesn't make sense. And then, don't get me started with fucking Bill. And every time somebody brought up criticism of Bill, it's, you just don't like him because he's gay. No, he was always gay. He was always gay. You didn't change the fact that he's gay. You ruined his fucking character, okay? Because if you actually look at the behind the scenes for The Last of Us, the documentary, Grounded, and stuff like that, they explain that Bill was supposed to be a warning to Joel. He was supposed to show what Joel would become if he completely shut off all contact to everyone around him and pushed everybody away. But then, in the show, he's having a lovey-dovey fucking relationship with Frank. When in the game, he literally was such an asshole that he pushed Frank away. That's the whole point of the game, was to show Joel that you shouldn't push away the people that love you. That life sucks when you're all by yourself. So, then he's all fucking lovey-dovey with Frank. And then, they pretty much take an entire episode just to focus on, like, the backstory of Frank and then growing strawberries and shit. That has, like, nothing to do with the story, so it's like a filler episode? What the fuck? They ruined his character arc. And then he basically goes off to die. The entire point of Bill was that he was a survivor at any cost. That he would rather survive no matter what. That he was the survivor. So him going off to die, like, and it was so frustrating because if you complained about it, you just hate him because he's gay. No, I hate him because they ruined his fucking character. He was always gay. They made no mystery of the fact he was fucking gay. Ever. But like, they oh my god. And then they just take like a side trip to Kansas, which they didn't even go to in the game, so they can fight against the army, and then we're gonna have fucking Sam and Henry killed by the army. This army bitch who has a vendetta for some reason, instead of the original scene, which is the most shocking fucking part of the whole game. Dude, when fucking Henry and Sam died in the game, I was fucking speechless. And then the fucking hard cut and jumping to weeks later in the fall. I mean, I literally was like, what the fuck? The first time I played the game, like, I was in shocked disbelief. It was perfect. And how sad his brother looked. And Neil Druckmann and the actor for Henry has said that when he's pointing the gun at Joel and he says, "This is all your fault," he's not saying that to Joel. He's saying it to himself. He's blaming himself. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And then fucking, dude, season 2 looks even worse. Okay, the only thing I will say positive about Bella Ramsey is she has a perpetually young face and a young body. So she did fit the age of Ellie. The problem being is that she was already an adult by the time she took on the role in the show. She's like 23 now. But she had already gone through puberty, so it's creating a mindfuck for me because in between Last of Us 1 and 2, Ellie's supposed to grow up and become a full adult. But she looks the same! And in order to compensate for that fact, they made all of the other actors around Ellie, like Dina and all them, young looking too. So it's like the Ellie story is now a bunch of children running around. So, you know, they're like, "Oh, Ellie, you've grown up now, you're an adult," and it's like, she looks the same. It doesn't look like fucking 5 years have passed. Whereas, like, in between Last of Us 1 and 2, it was a huge difference. So now it's like, because they cast everyone, it's like a bunch of kids went around playing dress up. Yeah. And they haven't shown Lev yet. How the fuck are they gonna do Lev? Remember that they've confirmed that they're splitting The Last of Us 2 into multiple seasons, at least 2. Okay? And each of the seasons takes place years apart. Lev is 13 or 14. So, with them taking the plot of The Last of Us 2, which is supposed to take place over 3 days, and each season has been 2 years, if they hire an actor that's the actual age that Lev is supposed to be, they're gonna fucking go out of the role by the time the third season comes around. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And even have you seen Abby? She's not buff at all. So it's like we're taking Abby, whose whole characteristic is being buff, and we're having her be played by a non-buff person. So unless all she's in the second season is flashbacks, we're having a non-buff Abby. Like, you couldn't find a muscular woman. I'm pretty sure with the huge audience and the huge budget that they could find an actual person. Remember that Abby, her voice is Laura Bailey, but she's based off of an actual female bodybuilder. Why didn't they just ask her to reprise her role? They got Marlene, the actress who played Marlene, to reprise her role. They got the guy who played Isaac, Oscar Wright, to play Isaac.
You carry the... If you don't make use of this, I've given you more from now on.
Also, I know this is a hot take, but I don't care. Okay? I don't care how buff Abby was. I don't care how buff Abby was in the game. If she had not surprised Joel and shot him in the leg, if they had an actual fight, Joel would have fucking wrecked her shit. People were like, no, Abby could take Joel in a straight up fight. No, she couldn't. Okay? Joel has literally been killing people and training longer than Abby has been alive. Okay? In a straight up fight, he would have fucking obliterated her. Yeah. Not to mention, okay, it goes without saying, okay, hold on one second. There's a saying, okay, there's a saying that holds true for The Last of Us. Beware an old man in a profession where people, in a job where people die young, okay? So the fact that Joel has managed to reach old age in a world that's notorious for killing people off young should tell you all you need to know. I mean, Joel single-handedly took out an entire crew of fucking firefighters armed to the teeth. But Abby's gonna beat him by herself. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Biology is real. I'm sorry. I did, she's a bodybuilder, but I don't care. Like, even if you were to get a woman and a man who were the same size, the man would still win. Okay, they've proven male muscle is denser. So you could get two people, man and woman, with the same amount of muscle, and the man would still be stronger because male muscle is literally denser. Biologically, men were made to be the fighters. And it's crazy that that's a controversial take. But it's true. That, yeah, it just pisses me off because people don't get it. They never get it, okay? Men and women are equal, but they're different. Okay? A woman is just as good as a man, but she's not as good as a man at doing things men do. Yeah, and that's the thing. Joel has technique. You know what I mean? It's not even raw strength. Like, he's had 20 years. He's literally been surviving longer than she's been alive. Like, it doesn't matter in strength or technique. Joel would lay her ass out. He's got the power and the experience. I mean, Just look at what Joel went through. Yeah. Just look at what Joel went through to get Ellie back. Like, he literally had fucking cannibals. People who hunted, and killed people for a living, begging him for mercy. Joel was a bad motherfucker. Like, these people literally hunt people for sport, and he had them being his bitch. Yeah, when he had to be. They actually, believe it or not, they actually clarified that. Joel actually didn't kill innocent people. Give me a second, I'll explain. Because what you're talking about is the, you know, I've been on both sides line. They actually explain in cut content from the game, cut dialogue, that Joel, at the start of the outbreak, robbed some people. He would hold them up and take their goods. And then let them go. And they cut that dialogue from the game to be more morally ambiguous. But the original intention was to say that Joel robbed a couple of people and he really regretted it, but he wasn't a killer. He didn't kill innocent people, just so you know. I'm sorry. Fuck Marlene. Fuck Marlene and the Fireflies. I feel like they had it coming.
I have as one word my name, the holy, the church of the duty and ensuring the, while this she and her how did at least, but now it is to use the and deliver salvation. Rogue the aureus. You serve a higher purpose, Crusader. To strive, you serve a higher purpose, Crusader. To strive in darkness, in light.
And to think when all to deliver, forgive me. I'm Pieta, soaked, whether contained with, should you bring them to the beak and a dear fellow.
Okay, Marlene. They showed that Marlene was willing to kill innocent people as well. They talked about how she would bomb places that were around civilians, didn't care, so Marlene had no qualms for killing innocent people to get her way. They showed that she wasn't actually going to give Joel the gun she promised. Before he even turned on her, she wasn't going to give him the guns. She tried to act like her sparing Joel was a favor, like, I've done you this great service, even though he was the one doing her a favor. The Fireflies intended to kill Joel before he ever turned on them, before he even knew they were going to sacrifice him, before they knew they were going to have to sacrifice Ellie. They intended to kill Joel. So they were intending to fuck Joel over before anything happened. He could have given them the guns, or given him Ellie, and they still would have tried to kill him. And then she tried to say, well, I'm giving you a gift. They took his guns, and they were going to keep his guns, and going to throw him out in the city that you saw was crawling with infected. It has the most infected anywhere in the game. And they were going to throw him out there with no fucking weapons. You may as well just put a bullet in his fucking brain. So, even before Joel turned on the Fireflies, they were always intending to fuck Joel over and weren't going to honor their end of the deal. And also didn't care about killing innocent people. So, Marlene kind of got what you gave.
Our holy work continues, Lampbearer. Fellow sanctified vessel, may Aureus' divine radiance flow through me and into you.
Plus, Marlene knew where Tommy lived. She would have immediately told them where Tommy went and they would have immediately sent somebody after Tommy and Joel.
So you can given that, and yet now, well, I'm Stoneman, a group of against them. We made of whatever the cost to that heretic, as are you.
In Radiance, judgment.
Our Immaculate Lady will bring redemption.
So, you know, I understand why Joel did what he did. Okay? And ultimately, the Fireflies were not the good guys, either. Okay? They were gonna sacrifice an innocent girl without giving her a say-so after telling her she wouldn't die. And they kept her in a coma so she couldn't protest. You know, in the game, in Last of Us 2, they tried to get on to Joel. You took her choice away from her. And the Fireflies weren't gonna take her choice away from her? Yeah, they were. They were gonna decide for her as well. Like, it would have been different, and I think it would have been different for Joel if they let Ellie wake up and then she decided to die. They took the choice from her. And we're just gonna do it without even asking her. And then we're gonna shoot Joel. He went into fight or flight. Like, they didn't give her a choice either. And you can even hear an audio tape in the hospital towards the end of the game that says that there were other children that they tested on, didn't work. So they might open her brain up and kill her for nothing. It wasn't like a guaranteed thing.
You, the we tend to stand Aureus. Anyway, you don't see that we set ourselves. Best watch a step. Mornstead is a. Best watch a step. Mornstead is a.
That lad, but then, I hope for both. If in doubt, much as he might think. If in doubt, much as he might think.
So, you know. And when you know what Joel's been through, when you know about losing his daughter, and then you can see they took her choice away, they were gonna kill her, it might not even work, they took his shit, they knocked him out and knocked him in the face, then they put a gun in his face. I can understand why Joel reacted the way he did in the moment. They sent him into fucking fight or flight, and the Fireflies could have absolutely handled that situation a million fucking times better than they did. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He did bad things, for sure. But like the whole message they're trying to send in The Last of Us, and especially in 2, is that shades of gray, everybody does bad shit, so Joel did bad things, but he's not a bad person. And he, you know, he wasn't just trying to keep himself alive, he's trying to keep his brother alive too. They say that he only, like he even says, Tommy would have died without him. So he was sitting there thinking, oh shit, I gotta save my brother. You know what I mean? It wasn't just him. So in that situation, with the whole world ending, everybody going crazy, people losing their fucking mind, who knows what we'd all do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess. But she knew exactly. I don't know. I have problems with that too.
Not a use like the one I've learned a little about that lab. I hope you recognize truth. Of course, my name, but far more than as proven by my. That's right. We defied only to be betrayed. So you look while and give me the lab. No, it's. I hope you see.
She knew exactly why Joel did what he did. For one, so she knew it was because he was going to kill basically his daughter. That would definitely factor into my decision. For two, you can kill Gary in all kinds of ways in the Last of Us game, but mechanically, Joel kills him with the scalpel and only kills him.
All I wanted, but they deemed what's a poor. I gave.
So,
I know it's a harsh, but a tree that does. But a tree that does.
Joel didn't just kill Gary. He told him to get out of the way. Then Gary told him, "You're gonna have to kill me." Then killed him with a scalpel. Okay, there's a big difference between somebody coming at you with a sharp object and getting away. Like, he gave him every chance to get out of the way. Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing, though. He had to carry Ellie. For all Joel knows, he can knock the scalpel out of his hand, then pick up Ellie, and dude will get him in the back. I'm just saying that that's another thing that makes it Joel didn't kill anyone he didn't have to kill. He wasn't bloodthirsty. And also, something that kind of irks me a little bit is, Joel literally saves Abby's life. She would have died. So, like, if I was set on killing somebody because they killed my father and then they saved my life, I don't know what I would do, but I would have to reconsider at the very least and think about it. Yeah. Like, if I was in Abby's position and the person that I thought was a monster saved my life effortlessly with nothing in it for him, I might have to reconsider my opinion on that person. That's just me. Like, the fact that it didn't change Abby's opinion at all. Like, this person that you thought was a monster just selflessly saved your life. I would have literally had to rethink things. And the fact that, like, that didn't occur to her at all, it kind of made me dislike her a little bit. But like I said, all that whole thing was put in at the last second. It's literally sloppy writing. Like, Naughty Dog has basically confirmed. They had a plan to have Jackson be in the game for several more hours, to have an open world in Jackson. Well, not open world, but, you know, like, more like in Seattle. Where it's an open hub. And Abby would work her way into the community. And then for some reason, they decided to cut that. But they didn't want to delay the game. So that whole scenario with Joel dying is literally something they threw together at the last minute. So, it literally is sloppy writing. Cobbled together. And that's kind of my problem with Neil Druckmann. I actually really like Neil Druckmann's writing. Obviously, he wrote Uncharted 4, which I think has the best story of the Uncharted games, me personally.
Most blessed.
And he wrote the first game, The Last of Us.
My soul soars to
so
pilgrim, and on your feet, you are on sacred ground, and we are yet to see whether you are deserving of that honor.
I assure you, I have dedicated my life to the teachings of Judge Cleric. My faith in her and her divine works is boundless.
I'm trying to figure out how to put it.
For our immaculate lady's light will lay bare the truth.
Neil Druckmann
Radiance, there is judgment.
Is a great writer. When he wants to write, he is amazing. Okay? The fact that he wrote The Last of Us proves it. But I do think he gets too preoccupied with the politics, okay? Like, in Uncharted 4, he had Nadine come in, and I have no problem with the female being the villain of an Uncharted game, because, Uncharted 3 had Marlo, and she was fucking awesome. but they made Nadine ridiculously OP in Uncharted 4. It was so ridiculous that when they made Nadine the star of her own game, they deliberately had to dial that shit back. Because, like, I get it. She's a martial arts master. That's cool. Nathan Drake has been shown in the previous 3 games to absolutely beat the shit out of groups of men. In Uncharted 3, he single-handedly beats the shit out of, like, 10 dudes in a bar, and then beats the shit out of, like, a 6-foot, 7-foot guy that's, like, twice his size, beats his ass. Literally in Uncharted 3, breaks a fucking toilet over his head. And then Nadine, who is, like, 120 pounds on her heaviest, not only beats his ass, but in the entire game of Uncharted 4, does not land one fucking hit on Nadine. Not one. Like, even if she won, dog, like, seriously, he doesn't even touch her? Nathan Drake and Samuel Drake together don't get a single fucking hit on her? That's not even like she's strong. That's like plot armor bullshit. Dude, even in like Uncharted 2, Lazarevich, the fucking famous feared Russian war criminal, he even gets hit. He's not invincible. Like, that's just bad writing. And like, I understand, like, she could have beat Drake, you know? She's trained in martial arts, and he's a bare-knuckle fighter. She could have beaten Drake. Definitely. But he's not getting a hit in edgewise is just unrealistic. And on top of which, they even show that she's stronger than Drake. She holds him down. Bitch, Drake is like twice your size. And she's trying to hold him down like this over him with leverage. She's not doing like a jiu-jitsu submission hold where she breaks his arm or she gets in a chokehold, you know, where weight doesn't matter. She's literally trying to hold him down with her weight. Any martial arts expert would tell you, if you're at a significant size or weight disadvantage to your opponent, trying to hold him down with your weight is like the stupidest thing you could do. Like, she literally is on top of him, like, that's just bad fighting. Like, they've shown that smaller opponents can get the drop on people. But they, like, pull their weight over them. So, like, they take their weight and use it against him. She's trying to use her weight against somebody twice her size. It's just bad fighting tactics. And, like, when they actually had to, like, dramatically depower Nadine in The Lost Legacy, because they're like, oh shit, if we have somebody that doesn't even get hit, that would be really boring. So they actually show her getting a hit, and they handled it much better. You know, she fights, fuck, I can't remember his name. But he's a great villain. Azad? Fuck. But she fights the terrorist guy, and it'll come to me. She fights the guy, and she fights him. She's martial arts, but she still gets beat. She doesn't just wing it. She gets hit in the side, knocked over. Yeah, exactly. This is one of my favorite characters in this game. I love her. Her name is Damarose. She's British, and her performance is fucking amazing.
The cleric's welcome comes behind the edge of a sentinel's blade. More often than not in this place. Makes me curious how you're still breathing. I suppose dangling the promise of salvation from one hand and the threat of death from the other keeps a pilgrim obedient. No, on second look, you're not just another deluded lamb, are you? You know, not long ago, I saw a Dark Crusader carrying that same lamp. Now it's in your hands. Again, curious. I know they'd see you rejuvenate those obscene monuments preventing Adir's return. Don't. That's a threat. But also advice. Adir rewards the faithful.
See, I love her. I still love her, I disagree. I think Uncharted 4 is my favorite. Even from a gameplay perspective, they made so many improvements to the gameplay. The levels were much bigger and not as linear. Whereas in Uncharted 1 through 3, they were kind of like linear hallways. They are still linear, but you actually have room to look around and explore. The fights were less linear. They actually gave you multiple solutions. The stealth was much better. In Uncharted, the other games, the stealth was kind of tacked on. They took the stuff they learned from The Last of Us and brought it in Uncharted 4, so you could actually have good stealth, and you could actually do encounters completely stealthy, whereas in Uncharted 3, and 1 and 2, that you pretty much had to get caught. The gunplay felt a lot better to me. They really worked on the gunplay. They didn't have those enemies that had sets of armor. In Uncharted 2 and 3, they had the enemies with the unrealistically heavy armor that could take 5 headshots and not die. They got rid of that. I really appreciate that. I loved the rope. It seems like such a seemingly small addition, but they managed to put the rope into every facet, and I absolutely love the gameplay of being able to pull shit with it, wrap it around, the swinging, grab something from the middle and swing. It really enhances that feeling of Indiana Jones kind of flying by night, and they managed to incorporate really cool set-piece moments into it. You can slide down slopes, and they put that into it. He gets that climbing stick, so you can jump up and stab a temporary foothold into a wall. The car sections were great. You know, the vehicle sections in Uncharted 1 were, You have the boat sections, which were okay, but nothing amazing. And then you have the turret section, which is just a standard turret section on the Jeep, which is okay. But man, in Uncharted 4, the car sections are really good. The car handles great. I love how they factor the car into the puzzle solving. They don't just use it for a set piece. And man, that level where you're in the car and you're on the African savannah, that has got to be one of the prettiest levels in any game I played. Fuck, that level was great.
There's salvation here if you want it. But you won't find it in the light of the sun or that lamp.
You know, in Uncharted, the previous Uncharted games, they didn't have a lot of personal stakes to them. Uncharted 3 kind of leaned more towards Drake, and I actually love Uncharted 3. I see a lot of hate for Uncharted 3 for some reason. I don't know why. I really love Uncharted 3. But Uncharted 4, it's much more personal, and it feels like much higher stakes because of that. He has a personal stake in this, and it would have been really easy to make his brother feel weird. It's like, why do we know about his brother? They did a good job of not making it feel sloppily inserted in the story and giving a convincing reason why he didn't talk about him. And showing like the flashbacks when he's younger, because that could have came off as really sloppy. Alright. I'll be here if you're here later. I hope you have a great day. Essas aí tem uma delas, não tem nem chifre, fica com essas aí tem uma. Fica com uma delas, não tem nem chifre, fica com essas aí, fica duas, placa não sei, fica com essa aí, fica mais, fica com duas, fica com uma visão, nenhum, eu acho que fica mais. Essas aí fica mais nenhum. Essas fica mais nenhum, como não? I'm gonna take a short break. I'll be back in a little bit.